Welcome back to The New Rich. My name's Brooke. I'm a professional organizer and lifestyle leader. Before we dive into the 7 reasons why you ought to convince your family to go tiny, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate your support. I have many more adventures to share with you of simple living. And if you do find value in this video, like it and share it with your friends. That would be very helpful to me. I want to make sure that you stick around for all 7 reasons because you don't want to miss one of them. So first off, I was always fascinated with living tiny. I just didn't think I could do it since I'm somebody who loves open spaces. I need a lot of space. And I'm somebody that enjoys her alone time as well. But 5 years ago, I was entertaining the idea and I just thought, I don't think I could do it. It's kind of too hard, too much work with 2 kids, a dog, and 2 adults at the time. I was living with my boyfriend. But I loved the idea of tiny living. I just ended up considering it to be a dream. That was until my hometown of Santa Rosa, which is located in Sonoma County, California, experienced massive fires back in 2017, and it changed our lives. Due to the housing shortage and prices of homes and rent skyrocketing, we needed to find an alternative form of living, and this would get us by for a few months until things had calmed down and people started to rebuild. So I started researching full-time RV living, and I was absolutely amazed at what I found. There was a fire that lit inside of me. It was my adventurous side that was so super excited. And so after looking online for a month or so for a new or a used recreational vehicle, I ended up finding a used one on the Facebook marketplace. It was a 5th wheel, and it was located a couple hours away. And I decided on a 5th wheel because I was advised that it would provide us more living space, as well as it had better storage options. And I also learned about the bunkhouse feature. And a bunkhouse comes with the 5th wheel option. And what a bunkhouse is, it's like an additional room or living space with bunk beds, which is perfect for children. And our bunkhouse, right over here, comes with a half bath. So again, providing a little extra space for us all, and mom can be a little happier. So I found a 34-foot 2008 Holiday Rambler Illumiscape. And I didn't want anything too long at the time because this was a first one for us and we had a huge learning curve ahead of us. And I loved the layout of this 34-foot 5th wheel, and I thought it would be perfect for the 4 of us, along with a dog. Of course, because it was older, it was 10 years old at the time, it was dated and it was a bit dark. And frankly, it was a bit depressing. I like light and bright. So I did a remodel 2 years ago back in 2020, and I'll be sharing a video on that eventually. What I learned real quick, though, was that trying to remodel a place while living in it in a tiny place was a bit more challenging than I had originally expected. So we held off on the remodel and for 2 years, and then I was able to do that. Our adventure started when we lived in a tiny home due to the fires. And it was the kick to the curb that I needed to start this new chapter in our lives. Sometimes we need that extra push from our higher power to take the leap towards our dream, because sometimes we don't have the courage or the strength to do it on our own. So here's what I quickly learned and why I have not gone back to a traditional home. 7 reasons why you want to convince your family to go tiny. First is adventures. I am somebody who loves adventures. Living in a home on wheels provides me that sense of adventure every day. When we would pool our home with our truck to beautiful new camping spots, it was so exciting to take the comforts of your home and open the door to new surroundings, lakes, rivers, streams, mountains, you name it. something new and different all the time. Now that we live more stationary, which we've been doing for the last couple years, I can still enjoy the regular connection with nature because we're spending most of our time outdoors. We're hiking, we're exploring new places, or we're just hanging out in our outdoor living space. And just recently, I purchased a fun pool, so now I feel like I'm a baller in my tiny living in my outdoor space, just adding another element to fun. Now, the second reason why you want to convince your family to go tiny is there are less chores. Who likes doing chores? I certainly don't. In fact, I prefer living my life, and I love doing it outdoors. I want to do things that I want to do, not what I don't want to do. So living tiny means that we have less chores to do around our home. We have less square footage, less storage areas, less bathrooms, less kitchen space, and less things to dust and care for. So instead of spending my day cleaning like I used to in a traditional home, I'm only spending about 30 to 60 minutes, and it gets everything done. My kiddos also reap the benefits too. They help with dishes on a regular basis, they're helping with garbage, and they make sure to keep their own room, which is the bunkhouse, picked up. And now they're actually at an age that they can assist with emptying the tanks that we have. Our fifth wheel has 4 tanks, and if you have questions on this, leave a comment and I'll answer. I may do a video eventually on this topic as well. But what this means is that we all have more time for fun. We have more time to spend together or with our friends, and we get to be outdoors, which is where I prefer to be. Now, the third reason you want to convince your family to go tiny is the experiences. Since I've been helping people for over 20 years, organizing their homes and tackling the clutter that builds up over time, I have a completely different relationship with stuff than the average American. I have seen people suffer greatly from the stuff that they have. And I choose to value experiences over things. And this tiny living gives us more opportunities to enjoy an active lifestyle, being outdoors, enjoying and exploring new places, trying new things, and we have more money to do it with. With less space, we have less wants or needs to buy random stuff that just fills up our homes. So I have to admit it was an adjustment at first because there were days that I'd love to go into TJ Maxx and Marshalls and just walk the aisles and look at all the cute things, and I'd sometimes buy them to decorate my home. But now I can't do that because we don't have the space that we used to. And it's really important to not buy random stuff because each thing in this home, this tiny home, needs to provide a purpose and it needs to bring lots of joy. Otherwise, it does not make the cut. Now, the next reason you want to convince your family to go tiny is there's fewer expenses. And one of the best perks of living tiny is that it requires less money to live. Our expenses are less all the way around. We don't have a hefty mortgage or a hefty rent to pay, which is outrageous here in the state of California. I cannot believe what people pay to live here. Where I currently am parked, my electricity, my water, my trash, and my Wi-Fi are all included into one price. And that is awesome because I love simple living. I also drive an electric vehicle and I charge my vehicle each evening at no extra cost. With gas prices hitting $7 per gallon here in California, I am so thankful and grateful right now. The money that we save on expenses, we actually get to put towards travel and having fun. And I do my best to travel every couple months, and this lifestyle also provides me the opportunity to give my children that same experience of traveling and enjoying new experiences. Otherwise, it's a bit tough to do for a single mom living in a state that is so expensive. And I remind my children all the time that if we were living in a bigger home, we would be staying home all the time because our money would be going towards our cost of living. It would be going towards our expenses, the repairs and maintenance, going towards just the regular day-to-day care of the outside and the inside of our home. Now, the next reason you want to convince your family to go tiny is that you get to spend more time together. When we moved into this fifth wheel, my children were 13 and 10 years old. Now they're almost 18 and 14 and a half, and I am so grateful for the time that we have gotten to spend together in our tiny home. My mom does live close by, and in her home, each of my children have their own room. When they go there, they like to close the door, lock it, and shut themselves out to the world, which makes it really hard to spend time with them. And it reminds me of how grateful I am for living in a tinier place with fewer doors to lock. And I do understand, though, that children love their space and they need privacy, especially during adolescent years. I was a teenager and knew how important that was. However, as a mom, I like the fact that in our tiny home, the kids can't lock their doors. They can't lock themselves inside, and it provides us more time to hang out together, to chill on the couch, to be around one another. And I'm gonna miss these days when they move on, go off to college, start their own lives, and that's gonna happen real soon. Now, I'll admit life was a bit easier living in a tiny space, a tiny home, when the kids were smaller and younger. As they grow, they get bigger, and the common spaces can feel a little tighter. And this is probably more so for the kids than it is the parents. And the main issue is that they start to outgrow their bunk beds. They also get to the age where they start comparing their lives to their friends' lives. And this is actually a perfect opportunity for them to understand that comparing ourselves, our lives to others is the thief of all joy. Also, to understand that to be proud of who you are as a person is way more dope than being proud of the things that you have. It's an opportunity for us all to go inward and develop ourselves there instead of focusing on the things in our external world, in our external lives. Now, the next reason to go tiny, to convince your family, is there's so much more freedom and peace here. I believe that we are all in search of happiness. And I learned that happiness is created. So I stopped searching a few years ago. To me, happiness means that I have inner peace and that I get to enjoy my freedoms. And living tiny gives me a sense, it's a freedom from not being surrounded by stuff. And this stuff weighs people down. Our stuff can feel like little monkeys on our back. And when you look around, you're constantly reminded of the decisions that you need to make or actions that you need to take. It's easier to stay tidier when living with less stuff. And when you live in a tiny place, it can easily feel cluttered or claustrophobic when things aren't put away or you start to accumulate too much stuff. But with less stuff, it is so much easier to stay on top of things. And this lifestyle has also helped me to be more present. I have fewer things to distract myself with. I have fewer things to care for. I have fewer responsibilities, which means I have more time for myself, more self-care time. I have more time to spend with my children and my loved ones, and I have more time to be out in nature where I feel peaceful and I have a sense of freedom. My financial stresses went away when I started living tiny, and this was a huge blessing. Stress can make us all sick. It can age us real quick. When I lived in a traditional home, the cost of living here in California was always stressful for me. Being a business owner, my income is always fluctuating. However, by living in a tinier home, with fewer expenses, I was able to eliminate that stress, which means happier mom, happier life. My kids get to enjoy a mom who is so much more present now and way less stressed than I used to be. And this is a wonderful gift to give your children, to your whole family. The last reason why you want to convince your family to go tiny is it lowers your carbon footprint. I like to be mindful of our planet as well as my community, and by living tiny, we have lowered our carbon footprint, and that feels great. We also have a stronger sense of security of not losing our home if there was another natural disaster or devastating fire. Our home is mobile. We get to pull it wherever we want. So I have absolutely enjoyed all the perks and benefits of living a tinier lifestyle, and I am so grateful for the push that my higher power gave to me, because at the time I don't think I had the courage or the strength to do it without that push. So do me a favor, please like this video if you received any value from it, and subscribe to my channel because I have so many more adventures to share with you. I hope you enjoyed these 7 reasons why you should convince your family to go tiny. You will love it. Thank you.